Hey guys, welcome to the day two pre-match live. What an exciting day! What an exciting day of Test cricket. Hopefully, it turns out to be. Day one was fantastic. If I'm going to put Praatibh on the spot, but Advait, hi, Rishit, hi, the hamster. Hello. It's great to see you guys on a Saturday afternoon
What's up?
joining us, making the effort. I'm going to put Praatibh on the spot. For
New
those of you
names.
guys who missed out on what happened on day one, what happened on day one?
Well, day one was dominated by India. A lot of us watched the test match, so I'm supposing you know what happened. But India 359 for 3 at the end of day one. Scored a lot of runs, centuries for Yashasvi Jaiswal and Shubman Gill.
True.
Both Gill and Pant are not out overnight. They will resume play this morning.
Hopefully. Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
they will
they
resume
will
play.
resume
Yeah,
play.
but hopefully for a while.
Hopefully, they can carry on.
Hey,
That's,
no,
yeah.
none knows. Morning, morning.
No
Hey,
one
Monish.
knows.
Oh, no one knows. I just read that as
Morning,
none knows.
lads. Yeah.
Monish, hi. It's great to see you guys on a Saturday afternoon. If you guys are joining in for the first time, hit that like button so that the live is pushed out to more people. We will do this every day of the test match and the test series, pre-match and post. Post especially being important because we will analyze a lot of things there is to analyze. Pre-match will be very detailed, but pre-day test lives will be a little more
Chiller. A
yeah,
lot more
chiller.
conversations
Yeah, a
with
lot, yeah,
y'all.
exactly, yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, I
um,
think yesterday there was response on
yeah,
lives,
post
which
match. Yeah,
was
it's
really
been a
nice to
while. Yeah.
see.
It's nice to see that you guys are test match fans. We always love a test match. So we appreciate the support. We'll wait for a few more minutes and then get into whatever we have to get into today. There's a couple of things we do need to get into, a couple of scenarios to talk about. How much will India score? If India will score a lot of runs, because we know how India bats on the next day after a good day of
Yeah, day two mornings are
day
and
two mornings.
India have been a good love story.
Yeah, that's true. But there are a couple of things to talk about. We have a few interesting stats about yesterday's partnership, KL, Rahul, and all of that. So, again, a lot of things to talk about. Hi, Pranav. Good to see you. Fast and the Furious, Aryan Joshi. Does...
Dude, okay, I have to read this comment out. Does Akai Kohli have a deeper voice than Gill? But I feel you guys are
DMK
what?
voters.
We aren't even voting from Tamil Nadu. Yes, they're elsewhere also. But yeah.
Wow. We missing Srikanth today? Yeah, that is true. Kushal, hi, Kushal. Guys, just watched your latest video on Indian bowlers. Good work. Keep. Hey, thanks so much for watching.
You.
That video is rising slowly, getting slow views. We realized that during the test match if we put out videos, but we will continue to put out videos and hopefully you
Yeah.
guys continue to support us, which you guys always do. Let's get into it. Let's get into the live and let's talk about the pitch and how the
All
pitch
right.
might play out today.
Cool. So on the pitch itself, firstly, based on how it played yesterday, it was fairly flat. Obviously, there was in it in terms of conditions, there was a little bit of swing. There was not much seam at all. Surprisingly, though, the thing with seam is whenever there is seam, you see spin. Yesterday, we didn't see seam as much, but we did see Shoaib Bashir get a little bit of turn. Today's conditions are going to be interesting because, as per forecast, there are going to be thunderstorms, and that means that we're at least going to expect overcast conditions, which means swing will come into the picture again. The second new ball has been taken, so that is another thing to note. But having said that, if there is a small chance of a shower that eventually comes along during the day's play, then it is going to become a little more interesting. I think it will start seeming just that little bit. Apart from that, I don't see any crazy signs as to too much change in the pitch itself. We'll also get pictures from the day's broadcast and we'll know how it is. But it should continue to be a belter of a pitch for the batting side. India just need to make sure they don't do anything stupid and just play out the first few overs when the day starts. So that's mostly it on the pitch.
Let's go from the pitch to wits against the Brits. That is what India needs to do today. Like Pratibh said, regardless of the condition, I think they need to play out the first star. And I don't say play out in terms of being in the shell, playing how they played yesterday, applying yourself on the crease and the kind of wicket there is. If it's overcast, you know what you're getting into. You're prepared for exactly overcast conditions in England. Every time you step into England, you're expecting overcast conditions. So again, disciplined batting by Gill, and this is what they need to do. But Pratham and I were talking off air about what India needs to do in general. Let's just say no wicket fall, and it's a very positive start, unlike not unlike like yesterday. And there can be two, and even yesterday in a pre-match, there were a lot of people asking us what should India do, how much should India score. there are two ways to go about this, right? One might be defensive, but it is a way that is possible. That is, you bat for as long as possible. If your batters score runs, bat the entire day two out, which means you're scoring about, I don't even know, like 600 possible runs or 600 plus runs by the end of day two, assuming that there are no showers, assuming that the pitch is still a belter, and then you probably take out the opposition out from the game. You take out the fact that you can possibly lose from that, because if you're batting the entire 2 days out, scoring more than 600 runs against this English side, knowing that the forecast for the next few days will be overcast, might just rain, it might possibly be difficult to bat. And you would just then assume that India can't lose from that. It will either be a draw or then India goes on to win the game, because then you'd want, because then if England want to force a result, they would have to bat aggressively, which then might mean that they might lose wickets. And even if they bat aggressively, you're hoping that by the end of day five, you're getting a result. But that is one way to go about it. The other way is a very aggressive way, but it is one possible way to go. You know, the forecast says it's going to rain. With English forecast and the weather forecast, it's not predictable. But assuming that it's going to rain, and assuming that it does rain on day two, again, India score about 500, 600 runs, close to, let's just say 500 runs, and you declare because you want to force a result. So day two, 20 overs before the end of day's play, or 2 hours or an hour before the day's play, you declare wanting England to bat in the last hour of day two, just picking up those couple of wickets, early wickets that India would need, so that when England come on to bat on day three, not only do they have a deficit of about 500 runs, but you're also wickets up in terms of, if you're from India's perspective. These are two ways to go about it. These are very ideal scenarios.
Very ideal.
Thinking that the Indian batters will do extremely well, but we do know that the Indian batters have a tendency to not do well, and that is where we go to the fin to win.
Win to win is basically players to watch out for. Guys, watch out for all of these names. It's all going to be puns. So you're going to have to keep up, and we'll be doing different puns in different segments of different lives, pre and post, all of that. But yeah, whoever's just joining in, we are covering the pre of the second day. So definitely hit a like, push this stream out to more people. But yeah, coming to players to watch out for, obviously you have Shubman Gill and Rishabh Pant batting. So even in that now, Gill for the most part has done a really good job. He's given a solid platform for India to build off of, and he is going to be he is going to be resuming his batting today. But more importantly, looking apart or looking beyond Gill, I want to see how Rishabh Pant goes today. Something again that Ashwin and I discussed off air is, does Rishabh Pant come out today and go all guns blazing, or is he going to take his time like he did yesterday and then eventually dig in and then possibly get another 100? This will be a very rare occasion where three Indians have scored centuries. In fact, very interestingly, the last time it happened at Leeds for India was in 2002.
Yeah.
And that's when India won the test match. So
he scored 600 odd
exactly.
runs.
And so if India get that third centurion, then they've ticked yet another box to possibly win the test match, especially as per historical trends. So yeah, that's one player to watch out for is Rishabh Pant. The other one that's going to be interesting is Ravindra Jadeja. But before that, some context around that. We know Karun Nair is very likely going to be batting at 6. You have Shardul Thakur who can bat as well. If there is a scenario where India have scored enough runs and they've lost a wicket and they just are looking to get quick runs, we might see Shardul Thakur come out ahead of someone like even Jaddu or Karun Nair. But if it comes to the batting, it will be interesting to see how Ravindra Jadeja goes, especially now that we've seen his podcast with Ravichandran Ashwin, where Jaddu talks about taking time and all of that and not necessarily attacking from the get-go. Jaddu also did well the last time he was here in England. He got a test century. And so that just seems like something to watch out for. Not many people realize that in this current test team, Jadeja has the highest number of test runs and test wickets.
KL Rahul might just
KL
have
Rahul
it, but
still
until this
doesn't
test
have.
match, you're right.
Still doesn't
Until
have.
this test, okay, fine.
So that's something to watch out for.
Yeah.
If India ball, which would be nice for, like, I'd like to see India ball if they get enough runs on the board. It'll be interesting to see how Siraj goes, because there are conditions conducive to swing. Siraj has been here before. And considering the fact that Bumrah very likely will play only those 3 test matches, it'll be interesting to see just how Siraj is able to get into some sort of rhythm.
Yeah, Akshay is here. I like how everyone just talked about, acknowledge Akshay's presence. Hey, Akshay, let's go to what's lit in the Brit, and that is the things to watch out for. The interesting tactics possibly to watch out for. We kept emphasizing on the fact that how India day 2 morning can be a struggle.
Yeah.
Because it always is. You're carrying the confidence from last night and hoping that you continue the same way on day two. Almost every time the Indian batters have struggled to do that, which is why it will be very, very important, even though we have talked about 500, 600 runs, for the Indian batters to apply themselves in the first couple of hours. So things to watch out for is how the pitch behaves, if the bounce is going to be as consistent or if the bounce is going to be lower than yesterday, if there's going to be more spin, if the pitch is going to be drier, even though there might be overcast conditions, it'll be interesting to see the moisture content on the in the pitch itself. But the other things to watch out for, and I think this will be a little more interesting, is the tactics against Shubman Gill. The commentators kept emphasizing on the fact that how they weren't bowling straight enough to him. We know that there is an obvious weakness that he had, at least. We don't know if that's gone away, but he had until the Border Gavaskar Trophy, at least, or even during the Border Gavaskar Trophy. That is, if you bowl to him straight, just a nip back
Stump to
to
stump,
him,
yeah.
or just stump to stump, he does struggle. He does have a weak defense, or at least did have a weak defense. We will find out if that problem's solved. But I would want to see. I mean, I'd honestly not want to see. But I wouldn't be surprised if the England bowlers do bowl more stump to him. We talked about this in the pre-match as well. We talked about this in the post-match yesterday,
Yeah.
of how Tim Southey being the coach, it wouldn't be a surprise if the bowlers change the tactic, bowl stump to Shubman Gill, because Tim Southey's gotten Shubman Gill out a couple of times. That is one of the things to watch out for. The other thing is turn, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the other important thing will be turn. I know fast bowlers are still going to have a very important role in this test match, but Jaddu is definitely the more superior spinner. And if turn comes into the picture, and we're seeing this because Shoaib Bashir got it to turn a bit from day one. That's not something you traditionally would see on
True.
at least a Leeds pitch. And simply because of the fact that that's happened, means that as the days progress, not only is the pitch going to get uh, more crumbly, there might some patches might open up, some roughs might open up, and if it's starting to turn a lot more today, then Jaddu comes into the
Oh
picture,
yeah, straight away.
and then England could possibly be all over the place.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I feel like I read something in the comments that I wanted to address. Oh yeah, so one thing on Shubman Gill, there's also very interesting technical change that he's made. We didn't cover it last night because we found out about it today.
True.
We've put it in our WhatsApp channel, so if you guys have not followed us on the WhatsApp channel, do that. But basically, it was around how we were talking about Shubman Gill coming out of the crease
Yeah.
to negate the swing that Chris Wokes was predominantly getting. Something very interesting though is how Shubman Gill was coming out of his crease, and in the Border Gavaskar Trophy, he was leading forward with his front foot, whereas if you'll see the footage now, he's leading forward with the back foot, which is a little tough to explain without pictures. So possibly we could have that later
So
today.
what does that do?
What does that do is that it helps a better weight transfer, because when he's going off of the front foot, if he's using the front foot to get to the pitch of the ball, and he's not getting to the pitch of the ball, he's walking towards the ball,
Right.
and so his body's momentum need not necessarily be in the direction in which he wants to hit the ball. Whereas when he's going off of the back foot, there is a more stable base because he still will plant that front foot to play
Yeah.
a shot.
True.
That's essentially what is happening.
That's very interesting. It's very interesting how there are a lot of these small technical changes that they've made, which is. But yeah, that those are the things to watch out for today. Quick wit in Brit is some
Stat work.
stat that you can read.
Cool. So, I mean, we'll definitely have these stats on screen for you to read, but just to go through it, India have had 19 opening partnerships lasting more than 100 deliveries in away tests since 2015, which, if you think about it, is not the biggest number, but that's also reflective of how tough it has been to open batting of late. But what's surprising here is KL Rahul's importance. I mean, we talk a lot about his averages and all of that, and how he's probably not up there in terms of average, but he's been involved in 12 of these partnerships out of the 19. So, and 9 of these are in Sena test matches. Out of those 9 also, 5 the 5 longest ones, KL Rahul has been a part of all of them. So that's just something to think about, because oftentimes we just go by averages or look at numbers,
Yeah,
but
true.
KL in Sena countries, even though his average might not suggest it,
He's
able
grinding it
to-
out.
He's grinding it out. He's able to bat time more
Yeah, yeah.
importantly. He's ensuring that that new ball becomes a little old and is easier for the middle order batters to play, which we kind of did see yesterday as well. I
Yeah.
think yesterday was a perfect example of the openers batting time.
True.
And lastly, of course, you would have seen this do the rounds all over the internet, is Shubman Gill joining the illustrious list of Indian captains to score a century on test debut. Now, it doesn't get bigger than the list
Captaincy
here.
debut, yeah.
On captaincy debut, yeah. Likes of Vijay Hazare, Sunil Gavaskar, Dilip Vengsarkar,
What
and
an
Virat Kohli.
illustrious list to be a
Yeah,
part of.
that is quite a list.
And let's go to addressing your chits. There was another stat. I think to bat at number 4 and score 100 the first time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Rahul Dravid, Shubman Gill,
Virat Kohli.
Virat, and there's
And
another
there's
name that
one
I'm
more.
missing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, what a list to be a part of. What a start to Shubman Gill's test batting captaincy. Still a long way to go because your captaincy doesn't come out when you're batting. Sure, it's a part of it, but your captaincy is often found out when you're fielding and when you need to do things for you to win. So
And
it'll be
when you're
interesting to
under
see that.
pressure.
Yeah, and when you're
which
under pressure, yeah.
So far, they have not
Yeah.
been. They've done well. Yeah.
True. Imesh, how much do you rate India's performance on day one, considering England is yet to bat and can only judge once both teams have batted? I think. Okay, so I saw a lot of things, right? I saw a comment. I think it was a comment on a reel about how yesterday wasn't fun to watch because the England bowlers lacked experience, like
Yeah.
the bowling unit lacked experience,
Yeah.
because of which it almost seemed like it was easier to bat for the Indian batters. And I think that is so unfair because
Mm.
you're still batting against the England team in England. If anything, regardless of inexperience, they have all the experience in the world bowling in England. It's their home. They play county cricket. They've had all the time. They're born there. It's like It's like the way Jayant Yadav took a fifer against England in
Yeah.
India. Jayant Yadav, I mean, he hardly had any test experience, but he got a match, took a fifer. No complaints there, except when the Indian batters do well against the inexperienced England bowlers, it's all easy and well and good. And that's not the case. You still had to apply themselves. I feel like the Indian performance yesterday was good,
Yeah.
objectively, regardless of how England batters do, because of the way they just apply themselves. Like there were moments where KL Rahul could have poked, Shubman Gill could
Yeah.
have poked,
100%.
Rishabh Pant, I mean, he could have gotten out.
Rishabh Pant.
Yeah.
To be honest, Shubman Gill could have got run out for one also. That
Yeah,
also could have
that's-
happened.
Yeah, that's true. And even Jaiswal for that matter. Like these guys could have done what they did in the last couple of matches that they have played and gotten out, except that they didn't. So regardless of how England batters do, I think the application and the execution that Stuart Broad keeps talking about, I think the Indian batters did that very well.
And I think the other thing that a lot of people are discounting because of the fact, I mean, they just discount because of how fast like news travels and how fast we move on from things, is the fact that Kohli is not in the squad, Rohit
Yeah.
is not in the squad, Ravichandran is not in the squad. The amount of pressure that these guys are coming under before the start of this test match. Firstly, it's an away tour. It's in the Sena countries. It's in England where we have not won since 2007.
True.
Take all of that, take that leadership vacuum, the conversation around who is going to bat at what position. Consider all of these things, and for the team to be able to put in that kind of performance yesterday, especially for all of the youngsters, barring Sai Sudarshan, who was really unlucky, also nerves, whatever. But yeah, just the context of all of what has gone behind the preparation and the start of that first day, I think India's done well. India's probably put in an 8.5 or 9 out of.
Yeah, that's true. Harshvardhan, you asked about Ollie Robinson's whereabout. He got injured, is what I believe, and then he got dropped. So now he's not injured, but he's dropped. And there's a lot of narratives about how the England team needs to move on from him. Also because he's pretty old. I want to say he's around 30. And so there was a lot of news about how they need to move on from him and all of that. So I think that's what it is. I think that's why he's not in the squad. Yeah, see, Advait again, Ollie Robinson. There you go. Now, since it's a flat pitch and if Bumrah doesn't do well, will England have upper hand because England have to bat majority of their innings on third day, which is the best day to bat since it is a flat pitch?
There's a couple of things to take into account. We are assuming that no one else is going to step up just because Bumrah isn't. Because of the fact that it's a hard pitch and there is swing, both Siraj and Prasid come into the picture. Prasid can hit the deck really hard.
Mm.
You could see a short ball ploy from him against especially batters like a Joe Root,
True.
possibly Ben Stokes, Ollie Pope for that matter. That's one thing. Siraj, it will be interesting to see how he goes. Even if Bumrah has an off day, if Siraj gets into rhythm, then there's been conversations around how Siraj's best ball is probably better than Bumrah's best ball. And
Yeah.
we've seen Siraj run through lineups when on his day. He's got 6 fours in like 5 overs and stuff like that. So if that Siraj pulls up, then England are done for. That's one thing. And what was the second part? Third day being the best batting day. It might vary a bit now simply because of the weather conditions around. It is going to be overcast. There are rumored or forecasted rather thunderstorms.
Yeah, so I was just
Yeah.
going to say the forecast. It's already 26 degrees.
Oh, it's come down.
Blue skies for now, but chances of a thunderstorm this
It's
afternoon.
come down 8 degrees.
Yeah,
Yesterday
that's
it was
true. 30.
34.
Yeah, that's true.
So it might not be the best batting day on
Yeah.
day 3.
So someone said, so Centurion says, I thought Akash is a better test bowler than Prasid. I mean, consistency wise, maybe, but I
Yeah.
think they went for variety more than anything. With Siraj and Bumrah, you go with Prasid Krishna because of the variety that he brings in. We talked about, we made an entire video on just bowling combinations alone. And I think that's why they went with Prasid Krishna, height, bounce, hit the deck kind of bowler. And
that's not to imply that Bumrah or Siraj cannot hit the deck, but it's not their natural tendency. Prasid, by natural tendency, is a hit the deck kind of bowler. And so this is something we've also covered in our video as to why we've put Prasid Krishna in a bowling combination is because of a technical nuance which has to do with his release points and how it is tougher.
you can actually explain that.
Cool. So I'll get into that very small thing actually. So for a lot of the bowlers who are bowling, whenever they bowl a good length delivery, which is around the 6 meter mark, versus whenever they are bowling a short ball, which is around the 8 to 9 to possibly 10 meter mark, their release points are different to the point where the batter can read that, okay, it's going to be a short ball,
Right.
simply because of how different the release point is in terms of height.
Right.
With Prasid Krishna, because of the height he has, he's at 6'2" or something like that. And because of the kind of action he has, there is very little height change of release points. And so what that means is, for a batter who's facing up to Prasid Krishna, it's tougher for them to discern a short ball from a good length delivery, which is also what we were seeing in the IPL, which is why he was so successful also.
Also, why he was bowling in the middle phase of the match.
Exactly. They realized that the best place to use him is when he has to not necessarily ball with the new in the middle overs, in the death. And you would have seen, if you look at any of the pitch maps that are there, there's a really good cricket.com article that you can check out. We'll probably link it.
Dude, Anikesh, I don't know what is up with you and Craig Overton. He's not in the squad. Jamie Overton's in the squad. But I don't know what you want us to do with Craig Overton. But right, Rohit, can India go for 650, 700 plus and enforce England to follow on? I mean, I think
would be a stretch. Dude, I like how India's had a good batting day, so we are already on the assumption that
but
India
we've
will
seen
get to
this happen.
600.
Yeah, we've seen this happen in the Border Gavaskar Trophy where we thought the Indian batters were going to bat the entire day,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they just didn't.
There's a good chance we could be 420 all out.
Yeah.
From here. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting day of Test cricket because the weather forecast has already come down. There's a 50-50 chance of India crossing 600. Yeah, 50. I mean, we still have 250 runs to go. That's a lot of runs. I think Bashir was a bad pick.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people think Bashir was a bad pick. A lot of people were hoping for Liam Dawson to be picked ahead of Shoaib Bashir. The fact that Shoaib Bashir doesn't have a county team says a lot of things. Michael Vaughan was asked this on comms, and Michael Vaughan said, I don't care what he does for county as long as he's doing the job for England, which he is. But I think that's a weird way to look at it, because if you're not being picked in your county, now I don't know what the reason is, unless they have a better spinner in that county. I think it was Jack Lee. And I'm getting the counties wrong, doesn't matter. But yeah, if you're not playing in your county, it's like not being picked for a Ranji team, but being picked for India. Will it be Chris Woakes day to day? I mean, with experience and the fact that he's playing in England.
Could well be.
Yeah. Guys, given the pitch has nothing to offer, what will Prasid Krishna be able to extract? Will Prasid Krishna be able to extract anything from the pitch?
Objectively, Prasid, if he pitches it up, he has the ability to swing it a wee bit. That's one thing. But purely from a hit the deck point of view, he has pace. He's been in good rhythm.
True.
And so he could hurry the batter. So most likely you will see short ball ploys when Prasid is bowling, or something that is suited to him bowling around that back of a length.
Yeah. I think the weather forecast, knowing that the temperatures come down, the England batters will be wary of this, knowing that they will have to be a little more cautious.
Yeah.
Especially because, again, they're starting with the new ball. How many overs are done? I want to say... Actually, I don't know how to check.
Let's check those.
But how many ever overs are done? It's still the new ball. Oh yeah, 85. The new ball is only 5 overs old. I can't believe that took so long to check. Anyway, the new ball is only 5 overs old. If the temperature is coming down, okay, fine. let's explain this because I saw someone asking and then I skipped over that question actually. What is the weather forecast or why overcast conditions get more swing than sunny conditions? And why should Indian batters be cautious if it's overcast? Because it's going to swing more, but why is that?
Cool. So this is something that we've studied
Yeah.
in the form of social study, whatever. It has to do with currents and the kind of moisture content in the
I
atmosphere.
would say science.
Science
Social
also. Oh yeah,
study.
not
Okay.
social studies. Science. Yeah, guys, I'm old. I studied long back. But yeah, it has to do with a combination of the moisture in the atmosphere and the kind of breeze that is going around. Because temperatures are lower, you would expect there to be, and because the conditions are overcast, you would expect there to be moisture content simply because clouds are there. It's a rain
True.
cloud, so there is that overcast nature, and because of that, there's also a cooler breeze that would come in, and that's what causes. Also, the other thing obviously is that the ball surfaces is important. One has to be slightly rougher, one has to be
Unless it's a
smoother.
new ball, which is
Unless
fine.
it's a new ball, yeah. That's also why we see the ball swing slightly later in England,
Yeah, that's true.
because the ball takes a little while to get shaped.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it is, like the currents on the ball.
So, Maria, do you agree with the lone spinner theory used by India for this test? It's very easy in retrospect. I think, except for Ravi Shastri, no one thought this pitch was going to play out the way it did because only Shastri believed that it was a good toss to lose for India. No one expected the pitch to be this dry. No one expected Bashir to get. I mean, I would still say it's a lot of spin for day one in England.
Oh
He
yeah,
was
for
getting
sure.
quite a bit of turn. And so, in retrospect, yeah, sure, Kuldeep Yadav could have played, but then you're then playing with a long tail. So who are you going to drop? I'd still say with the lone spinner, you're fine, especially with Jadeja. He's been the number one all rounder for the longest time in Test cricket. I mean, factually, he's ICC rank number one
Yeah.
for the longest time.
You know, very interesting fact. I think I saw it on Twitter this morning. But Tim Wigmore, who's written cricket books and who's an analyst and all of that, he told. I mean, what he saw yesterday from day one of the Test match was there was more swing yesterday in England than 75% of the Test matches that have happened.
This year,
Uh,
I mean, since
ever
when?
since whenever there's data.
I don't.
Yeah, that was the stat. So, which was very interesting.
I find that very
Yeah,
odd.
like whichever ball swung, the degree of swing.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought on average
Oh,
there was a
no.
lot. Okay, fine, fine. No, that makes.
Not sure of
I don't,
that.
I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah, yeah.
but I can take that. What happened to Mark Wood? He's injured. Are we expecting a possible Joe Root fifer? Yeah, I'm quite surprised Joe Root wasn't tried on yesterday. I thought with the golden arm, with the partnership going on, I thought he could have been brought on. Joffrey and Gus are injured. I think yes, he is.
Gus Atkinson would have been a good.
Your live podcasts are fun, dude. I prepare egg curry and rice and ate. That's fantastic. I was going to talk about something else. I completely forgot reading about
Mark
egg
Wood?
curries. I have no idea. Oh, sounds like it's crackling the flags once again, Lee. Windy, I think, is what it means.
Yeah,
Have-
the morning session is going to be crucial for
Yeah.
India.
If India don't get all out, would 450 be a good score to declare considering the aspect of rain and cloud cover? No.
450 is too soon. I think India should
Yeah.
bat longer than that.
Duke's ball shows its true colors after being 7-8 overs old. Once the ball just starts to lose shape, it's only then when it starts swinging and seeming more if the pitch has. I don't think it's shape, I think it's hardness.
Yeah, correct.
So the only problem with Duke's ball, I mean, one positive with the Duke's ball is the fact that it doesn't lose shape, it doesn't lose shine. This is a 50 overs old ball where the openers, both the openers, actually one opener scored 100, the other opener scored 70 odd.
He's the one opener.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, it was bashed all around the ground, and this is the club level ball. It's not even the highest Duke test level ball. A Duke's ball where two batters hit the ball around the park, it's still so shiny, and the shape still
The
remains.
shape's perfect.
Except that it's a little bit softer,
Yeah.
and that's the problem with the Duke's ball. It just gets softer and softer by the overs, and that is why even though there might be swing on offer by the 60th and 70th over, which we did see yesterday when Chris Oakes was brought on after the 60th over, there was swing. It's relatively easier to play, and I say easier very carefully because it can also be difficult if you're a bowler like Chris Oakes, except yesterday it wasn't his day.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ball gets softer, and that is why you would want to go with the new ball. We saw the old ball kind of swinging yesterday. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like in the third session early on. Centurion,
Case in
yeah,
point.
absolutely
Case in
right.
point.
But yes, this has been alive on pre-match day 2. Something things to keep in mind. India needs to be cautious in the first couple of hours. Even if one of them gets out, I think it's fine. We still have Karun Nair. We still have Jadeja. They have hundreds. I mean, yeah, they have international hundreds.
One has a triple hundred
Yeah.
against the
Actually,
same opposition.
yeah, that's true. Jadeja has 2 triple hundreds in
Yeah.
first class cricket. And we have Shardul Thakur being the second highest scorer for Mumbai in the Ranji Trophy this season. So 2.5 people who could possibly
Who
bat.
can come out and score runs?
Yeah. And so even if a wicket falls, I don't think there should be a panic button. I think it's fine. I mean, it's a new day.
Yeah.
England pundits suggested that our batting is the weakness now since we have overcome our weakness. Would that give us confidence and metal advantage over the England bowlers, putting them under pressure? I think it's only day one. It's too early to say.
But I think it's a psychological win, dude. Like you're
True.
coming in, all of that pressure, you're coming day one, England, you've put runs on the board, 2
To be fair,
centuries. Yeah.
Ben Stokes' England team, like the Australians were up in the Ashes in England and
Yeah.
they went on to, I mean, they still didn't retain the Ashes,
Yeah.
but they drew the
They
series.
drew the
So
series, yeah. That's
as
fair.
much as it is a psychological win, Ben Stokes, the captain, I think he's very Virat-like. in that
Different England
sense.
side. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was Root, the captain.
7:59, India declares. That would be nice.
Could Arshdeep be brought into playing 11 in the later matches, considering the Bumrah won't be able to play? I think, according to us, it should be Akashdeep. Just only makes sense. Will England play for a draw? I want to talk about this because there was the Nasir Hussain Ben Stokes interview.
Yeah.
I mean, that Nasir Hussain took Ben Stokes' interview from in the Sky Sports YouTube channel, and Nasir Hussain asked Ben Stokes, "Would you play for a draw?" And Ben Stokes does talk about how, as much as they wouldn't ever want to, I mean, if only 2 sessions are left, and if you have to chase 400, you can't.
Yeah, you can't make a match out of
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So you have to play. So it's very extreme conditions that Ben Stokes' England team will play for a draw. But yeah, it will be interesting to see. We will come back post-match. We will analyze everything that is to analyze during the match itself. Bring you a lot of stats, bring you a lot of analysis if there is something to analyze. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're joining us for the first time, we will do this every day of the test match, every test match, that is. We also have an event coming up in Bangalore on July 6th, which is a Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Koramangala. So if you guys are in Bangalore, check that out. What is the event going to be about?
It's going to be about the India-England series. It's going to be about us nerding out about cricket. There are going to be some games/quizzes. There are going to be prizes. There's going to be a lot of swag. It's going to be a fun event.
Yeah, it's going to be a discourse like this.
Yeah,
So yeah.
we're still planning things out, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate all the support. Join us post-match at 11:30, I guess. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.